Well, thank you for joining us here on the Global Morning. This is Global Television. We're live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. We'd like to say a big thank you to you again for deciding to join us here, as always, on the program this morning. I'm Uyi Agmofuegbe. I had a conversation briefly a while ago. My co-anchor is saying that it's a dressed down Wednesday. It's the first time, quite frankly, in my entire life I'm hearing that term. But again, we live in the 21st century, so new things will pop up every other day. Jumai Manson, thank you for being so innovative. We appreciate you.
This is the part where you put me on the spot, right?
You are the resource person now.
Yeah, it's fine. Good morning, Uyi. How are you doing today?
Very well.
And to everyone out there, good morning to each and every one of you. It's a beautiful midweek, and of course it's Wednesday. And just to correct the narrative, please ignore Mr. Uyi. I said it's a casual corporate Wednesday.
Oh, there's a difference. I never knew that. We learn every day.
Just like someone that says he doesn't take... No, let me not say that. Come on.
Can't I be vulnerable with you?
No, you cannot be. But at the same time, it's all for the greater good.
Right,
it's all for the greater good. Nice jacket, nice suit, by the way. I love the stripe and the tie.
Right, sure. You have an eye for amazing things.
Yes, I do. Thank you. The house I will say now go day.
Yeah. Well, what more can we say? We also want to say thank you to you for always doing this with us here on Global Morning.
Yes.
It's quite a loaded show today, quite a number of things to look at. First of all, we'll also be looking at the issue of this gold refinery, which we understand is being proposed to be sited in Lagos. So one would have thought, well, it's an amazing idea. Come to think of it for a second, for a country that is so blessed with, at this point, we really can't put a finger on the number of mineral resources that we have.
Very true.
All right, even though we know emphasis is often on the major ones, gold and what have you, lithium and all of that. By the way, just to mention that lithium is doing well now, and we hope we continue to advance that narrative, drive the sector and all of that. But the issue has been about this gold refinery that the federal government says will be sited in Lagos. One would have thought for a country that's blessed with so much gold, especially when you go to northwest Nigeria, it will be so much of a blessing that we can complement monies that we make from other, if you like, commodities like oil, other streams like tax, excise, and what have you. But really, that has not been the case the last few days in particular. We're seeing so much of controversy around it. We're seeing reactions saying that, for the most part, there's need for us to site such a refinery in the locality where the commodity itself is harnessed.
Yes.
Which ordinarily aligns with common sense, which should not even be a subject of discussion or debates, what have you, but that hasn't been the case. The Northern Elders Forum, for example, says that if gold, for the most part, is found, in large quantity, let's say Zamfara State, it's not common sense that such should be in maybe a place like Gusau, all right? Or even if you say, okay, let's site it in a neighboring state for strategic reasons,
security
for accessibility, security reasons and all of that, it will align with, logical reasons and things like that. But the federal government says, well, this is not exactly as you think. This whole gold refinery project is a private sector driven initiative. So we do not have much of latitude as to determining or even influencing where it will be sited. But that in itself has not placated those who are strongly persuaded that such a refinery should be sited up north as against taking it all the way down to the south.
For me, I just think it's really unfortunate that we're even going up and about with this particular issue. It's common sense where it is found. It should be there, or like you mentioned, a neighboring village. It's common sense. Why take it away from that particular region? Why? But anyway, like we said, it's a controversy. Let's see how well this plays out. And it's very important that I think sometimes, we do things because of our own personal interest. So, of course, tagging it could be due to personal interest, it could be because, of course, it has to do with resources and all of that. This is money we're talking about. So some people might want to divert such because they're in power or they feel that is the right thing to do. But I'm trying to understand why Lagos compared to where it's been found and all of that. But let's just see how well this goes. And I'm sure the needful will be done, the right thing will be done, and individuals will listen to advice when it comes to this issue. Okay, I want to believe it's because of security issues and all of that, but there's always a way around it, right? So let's just see how well it is. But I don't think it's fair. I think it's a logical thing to do for it to be cited, to be placed in the region in which it is found. I think that's the only way you can give credence and kudos to that particular region.
And the fear by many people, Juma, who have been following this issue is they say this is beginning to now look like the tax reforms.
Yes.
Which, of course, there are now laws and they are being enforced. This is, again, the third week ending since enforcement began. But more importantly, it highlights the concern around, if you like, extensive and extended consultation. Who were these critical stakeholders that were consulted, that were, if you like, engaged in terms of saying, this is where we're going, this is where we're heading, this is the goal, this is the project, this is what we want to do, and these are the concerns that we have, and we would like all of us to put our heads together, to understand exactly how this serves ultimately the overall interests of the larger majority and things like that. Because one of the challenges is by the time such an initiative is already on the road, it's already on full throttle, you now start hearing things like the federal government never consulted, the federal government just took a unilateral decision, and things like that. And if that's the culture, if that's been the case, it means that we need to take time to have a sit down, look ourselves in the eye, and quite honestly ask ourselves, do we consult enough before we roll out things like this? Because you'll be surprised it serves even the good of the larger majority citing it in Lagos. But did the federal government, just in case, did the federal government do an amazing job? Did it do a satisfactory job with creating enlightenment in that regard? Otherwise, are we going to have a situation, because again, that's a potential concern, where when and of course, government will change tomorrow. The next government says, no, Lagos is not the right place.
Exactly.
We start moving it. Now, the moving may not be the issue, but what will be the costs of such a relocation?
You see, I mentioned last week or so, we spoke about continuity, and that is it. Someone comes with a great vision, a great idea, and then it's something that is beneficial to you and I, and it moves on smoothly, and another person comes and says, no, I don't want him still taking credit and all of that. I have my own idea, I have my own vision, I want to bring up, so I will remain relevant. You can also remain relevant once you can twerk it up a bit. You can still add value to what that other vision is all about to actually make a difference. And I think sometimes those in power forget the fact that they need to carry us along. If there was a survey done in this, the larger majority, okay, should it be cited in Lagos? Should it remain? That would have been something, like you said, carrying us along to understand what this is all about. Most individuals don't even know what this is all about. They just wonder, okay, citing in Lagos, is there enough awareness? Do people understand what it means for gold to be found in, let's say, in this particular region and is moved to another region? Do they understand the implication surrounding all of that? And you said something, the move, what is the cost? Still boils down to monies. Again, an avenue for individuals to either lose, launder, or something when it comes to this particular implementation. It's just unfortunate that this is what it is. And guess what? It's a cycle. It's a cycle, because we keep going back and forth in this matter, and of course it is the same norm over and over again. Okay, without the controversy of this gold being cited in Lagos, the next person will come up and say, okay, fine, like you mentioned, definitely that would be the norm. I don't want it in Lagos. I think it's better. We should give credence to where it was found. And we need these billions and billions of naira. And no one talks about all of these things. It's just unfortunate. But I hope, for me, now that Nigerians are becoming aware, they are becoming enlightened when it comes to decision making and all of these things encompass, I think individuals in authority, those in power, now know that there's a limit to what they can do, because Nigerians, I mean, we're now having a voice, we're now understand what democracy is all about, and that we have the power. So I think, well, there should be a roundtable discussion when it comes to all of this, so that there could be a difference, and tell us why it's important that it should be sited in Lagos. What benefit will it have on us as a nation, as Nigeria, and not the other way around when it comes to tax, or this new tax policy that is in place. So let's just see how it goes.
Right. Okay, well, we need to take a break at this point. Apparently, it's going to be long drawn out in terms of the elements in this conversation today. Plus, we'll be looking at the issue of what's probably can now be best described as the strike culture in Nigeria, from one sector to another, to the other, and it just appears to be a back-to-back sort of development for our country. How much of a toll does it take on us socio-economically in Nigeria? All of that and more after the break. Please stay with us. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Well, many people will say that strikes, or if you like, industrial actions are not new to Nigeria. And perhaps, who knows, one of the ones that readily come to mind will be the one by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. That, incidentally, we understand is an issue that's being resolved, and we're seeing results in that regard with the agreement that the federal government has now entered into with the union, and what we understand the government in the days, weeks, and months ahead will do with other unions within the university system in our country. While we can say there is at least some relief in that regard, can same be said or seen in other sectors, health and of course services. As it stands today, across the Federal Capital Territory here in Abuja, there's, if you like, a citywide strike. This is the third day. Global Television has been following that development for you. But one thing is clear. Workers have not been going to work. That in itself has come with several humongous consequences. One of them being that the city will lose money, families will lose money, individuals will lose money, services will stall, and of course, so much will grind to a halt naturally. Instead, what we're saying the last 48 hours and counting is some sort of, if you like, tussle between the leadership or the administration of the FCTA and the workers themselves. So while on the one hand, the FCT administration says, well, we have met 10 out of the 14 demands that these workers have made or advanced to us. The workers, on the other hand, say, no, there is no such fact. I mean, nothing of such has happened. In other words, that they're saying we won't even embark on strike in the first instance if 10 out of our 14 demands have been met. Now, away from all of that, what a particular musician would call hula baloo, at what point will parties involved in this issue sit together, negotiate, and somehow meet in the middle, or as we often say, find compromise?
Very important.
If you were working for the FCTA, obviously you won't be here this morning.
No, we're on strike, right?
You would have been on strike.
I'm just kidding. We get the joke. Hello. All right, but the thing is, what's going on this morning?
You see, quite frankly,
what's going on?
I hope you don't wish you were working for the FCTA.
No. I'm happy where I am, really.
Great.
I'm happy where I am.
But it's quite disturbing, isn't it?
It is. And I told you, this is an issue that has gotten to a point of a brick wall. There must, for individuals or group of individuals to decide to embark on a strike action,
right,
there must have been warning signs. Warning signs, little, of course, you know how this thing starts. You know, one or two people start talking about it and then puts that idea that, why are we taking all of this? Why? And the next thing you know, this is due to us. This is what we need. It's important for us to function well. We are giving so much and getting less in return. Of course, it's going to lead to strike action. And it's just unfortunate that individuals do not see it. Those who are supposed to act or be prompt in, doing the needful do not see it. Now, I'm sure now people can sit down and say, oh my goodness, now I see the relevance in these individuals who have gone on strike. Like you said, the FCT is losing money, individuals are losing money, families are losing money, various places are so many things, and money is being lost at this point. So it's just unfortunate that this particular strike action has not been solved from the day one. It's just unfortunate that this is day 3,
right,
and we're still on it. It means that there is a lot to do when it comes to leadership. It's very important. I think people do not understand what leadership is all about. If you understand what leadership is all about, this stuff would have been, from that day, it wouldn't have led to the 3rd day. Are you kidding me? In the FCT, and everyone is watching because, hey, this is the Federal Capital Territory. The mighty resides here, and all of this abnormalcy is ongoing, because that's what I will call it, because other states are watching. If it could happen in the FCT, it can happen anywhere.
Right.
So it's just unfortunate that this is what it is, and it's unfortunate that people do not understand that you need to give people what is due to them. This, you can't hold it forever, because you can do it, but there's a point that they will definitely break, and this is what it is now.
Right.
And yesterday we read that 10 out of 13 of their demands are not yet met. And of course, there was a report that said it has been met. There was nothing like any negotiation at that point as at yesterday. I don't know about what will happen later on at night, but as the time when we were on Global Morning, we read the report and we heard that. So it's just unfortunate that this is what it is. The unseriousness that comes with this sort of thing. These are fathers, these are mothers, individuals that have to, you might talk about passion. Passion is good, yes, but passion will only take you to a certain level.
Right.
When you look back and you look at hungry kids that you have to feed, look at school fees staring you in the eye, look at the cost of transportation, despite the fuel reduction, and yet transportation is still the same. Look at the inflation when it comes to food. Look at the fact that, come on. Let the needful be done. It is complicated, and please let the needful be done. Give what is due to your workers. They're not asking for too much. Like I always say, Nigerians, we don't ask for too much.
Just the basics.
Just give us the basics, and we are good. And guess what? We're so forgiving. We forgive, and we move on so quickly.
Right.
Just do the needful, and we are good. So I think the needful should be done to these workers in the FCT. They deserve it. It's their right. They have worked for it. Even the good book says it. Pay the the laborer his wages.
He deserves his wages.
He deserves his wages. They have worked for it. So why are you holding it? And why is this tussle? Why are we still prolonging all of, just like the health? You know, I hate talking about the health sector, but you know, it's a job, we have to. But it's just unfortunate that this is what it is. And they are just keep recurrence of strike action because I want to get your attention. And if this is the only way, let it linger for as much as you. The state is losing money, FCT is losing money, but I will get your attention, and you have to give what is due to us, and that's what it means.
Incidentally, the civil service is very structured.
Yes, it is.
Right. So we hope those structures will now be leveraged on to help resolve this issue as quickly as possible. All right. We're taking a quick break now. When we return, so much to talk about. In the meantime, Ramsey Enoch Agbo is ready with Inspirational for you.
A lot of people are in prison today. Nobody put them there. They put themselves in the prison. They don't have any judge to stand for them because that is a self-imposed prison. Good day. Welcome to Heart Inspirational. I want to talk about something today. Your past is not your prison, so you don't need to remain there. It is a past and it is a past. It has come and it has gone. Yesterday is history. Today is the present, and tomorrow is the future. So which one do you need to focus on? The future, of course. And that's why a lot of people ask questions. What is your plan for the future? Some of you walk into the day carrying invisible chains. Chains called regret. Chains called guilt. Chains called shame. But I want to tell you something. You don't have to. You don't have to. I tell people all the time, if you go through a situation and maybe you didn't succeed, you tried the first time, you didn't succeed, you tried the second time, you didn't succeed. You could try as many times as possible until the success comes. It is a target, it is a vision, and provided it's in your heart, you will surely achieve it, you will attain it. So stop the regret. Whatever happened yesterday is history. It's a past. Don't allow your yesterday affect your today because it's going to damage your tomorrow. So you don't need to regret about what has passed already. That chain needs to be broken before you make any move in life. If you really want to be successful, we are talking heart to heart, right? We are talking heart to heart. We need to get connected right now. We need to get ourselves inspired. This year is loaded, just like every other year, but the load, what this year is carried is so much. But then you need to release yourself from the chain called regret, that chain called guilt. All right, what people are saying, the way people look at me, that guilt and shame and regret needs to be made a thing of the past. If you must move ahead, if you must move ahead, it doesn't matter what people call you. The name you call yourself is superior to the name people call you. What are you professing from your mouth? What are you saying? Are you always telling yourself, wow, I can't make it? Or you are always telling yourself, I can make it? Do you know that your belief, what you believe in, what you trust in, like I used to tell people all the time, anywhere I go, I tell people, first of all, it's not all about prayers. Prayer matters. Fasting is important. All right, both Christians, Muslims, everyone fasts. But there is an ultimate thing, the conditioning of your heart. What's in your head? What are you thinking? As a man thinketh, so is he. All right? And there is a problem that a lot of people have, and that is the problem of regret, shame, past. Past, they call it past. It means it has happened and it has passed. You need to jump over it and move ahead. But a lot of people are still in that prison. I call it prison because it's a limiting factor. It's a stumbling block. It's a pit in your front. Move yourself out of this prison. That's why I call it self-imprisonment. But I came to announce to someone today, I want to tell you something. Your past has no legal authority over your future. That's the truth. Your past has no legal authority over your future. No, never. Whoever tells you that is telling you a lie from the pit of hell. Your past has no legal authority over your future. It's your past and it's your past. It doesn't matter what people think. When you're successful, there's the same people that are talking you down, the same people that are doing cho about you behind, they will run after you. They want to be your friends. Success has many brothers. It's only failure that is an orphan. And I don't wish for you to ever be a failure. All right? So you need to know categorically that your past has passed already. So you forget about the shame, the regret, the guilt, because that past has no legal authority over your future. Okay? Why am I saying this? Yes, it is true. You made mistakes, yes. You're human, of course. There is no one. That's why, remember, I don't want to go scriptural, but then the Holy Book said something, all right, when the harlot was almost being stoned to death. The master asked a question, any of you that is without sin, if you know you've not sinned before, since you were born, be the first to cast the stone. They had passed, all right, and no one did. You made mistakes, but don't condemn yourself because you made a mistake yesterday. What are you doing today? That's the ultimate thing. What exactly are you doing today? Yes, it's possible. You failed. Yesterday you failed. In the past you failed. In that business you failed. In your office you failed. You were shouted at. But then that shouldn't track and hold you down. Yes, you trusted the wrong people in the past. Your company, you were betrayed. Your friends, the so-called friends, the people you confided in, they let you down. It happened. You trusted them, but they were wrong people. All right? Enemies in friendship clothing. You had them in the past. But then, does that mean you shouldn't have friends again? Does that mean you shouldn't have people you talk to again? No. But mistakes are events, not identity. You need to know this. See, what I'm saying, I want you to put it in your head. Mistakes are events. They have happened and they have passed. It is not your identity. It's not written on your forehead. Stop carrying your face like that as if you are the worst person on earth. Do you know that you can't even think aright? You can't think well. Anytime you have grudges, maybe against someone, probably, or maybe because you're feeling guilty about a particular thing that you did, the mistake you made in the past because you're feeling guilty about it, you know, an event that has happened and has gone. You made it your identity and you put yourself in that prison of guilt and shame. No. No, those mistakes are just mere events. They've happened and they've gone. They are not your identity. Don't make it your identity. Remove yourself from that prison of guilt and shame. All right? Too many people live in their entire life serving a sentence for a crime they already learned from. Do you know you learn from your mistake? You learn from mistakes, the mistakes you make. And that's the reason every time most people go to the drawing board and see if they fail, they don't just move ahead. They do a check. Where did I miss it? I was traveling. This is where I miss it. It's a journey. Life is a journey. You're going somewhere. And in this journey, so many things happen to you on the way. All right? I know some persons are born with golden spoon, like they will say, I don't know. I don't know how golden that spoon is. But everyone created by Allah, created by God, is created for a purpose. All right? And so what you need to do is stop serving a sentence for a crime that have already come and gone, that you are learning from. Some people keep pushing themselves long after life has forgiven them. And maybe the people are no longer even thinking. See, let me tell you something. It's so funny that some people even think for people. This is what people are saying. Who told you that's what people are saying about you? It is an imagination. It's a limiting imagination of the heart, in your head. This is something that maybe people have even forgotten long ago. But you put yourself in that prison. You're not doing the right thing because you felt, well, I had a past. Something that has long been forgotten. The people may have even forgiven you. Let me tell you the truth. Your past may explain you, but it does not define you. That's the truth. Your past may explain you, but it does not define you. Because you can see, I was saying something sometimes back. I was talking to some people and I told them gold is only refined in the fire and come out very beautiful. Some things happen to you, they are training. It strengthens you. It gives you wisdom you didn't have before. If your past could destroy you, it would have done so already. For instance, a car's windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror for a reason. You are meant to look forward more than looking backward. The past is for reference, not for residence. Practical thing that you need to do is that you need to stop rehearsing what went wrong. All right, stop thinking about it. Start extracting lessons, not labels. All right, forgive yourself so you can move forward. What are you supposed to do? Let me leave you with this quote as I round up now. You are not who you were. You are who you are becoming. All right. So walk out of that prison of yesterday. Your future is waiting for you for a free person. All right. What did I say? Your future is waiting for a free person, not someone choked with yesterday. All right. Thank you very much. I believe we've talked heart to heart. Remember, you are a success going somewhere to happen, and know that you are unstoppable. Many thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television. All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning on Global Television. And of course, that segment was the inspirational titled Heart to Heart with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Hope you were well inspired. At about this point is the newspaper review segment. And we're going to start with the first paper of the day. It's the Guardian newspaper. And below the nameplate of the Guardian newspaper, it says PDP chair meets ex-VP Sambo, says ticket open to Jonathan others, and that is on page 2. On page 5 of the Guardian newspaper, it says FG employers may clash over planned increase in employee compensation levy. And of course, there's a picture of Governor Siminalayi Fubara there on page 3, and it says Rivers Assembly shuns pan-deaf peace panel over Fubara's impeachment. And the star story on The Guardian reads, gap in e-transmission, vote buying sanctions, spark calls for reform. And that's on page 6. And below that on page 30 says, court orders INEC to recognize, publish ADC's list for FCT cancel elections. And on page 7, Lagos to divert traffic as repairs resume on Lekki-Ekpe Expressway. That's on page 7. And moving on the Guardian newspaper, a picture there of the United States President Donald Trump. It says Davos, Nigeria pitches fiscal discipline as EU leaders condemn Trump's new colonialism. And that is on page 6. And a picture of Ezekwesili, it says Sanwo-Olu, Ezekwesili bicker over Makoko demolition, alleged oppression, and that's on page 7. And on page 30, that's a picture of the FCT minister, and it says FCT workers' strike continues as union faults government's compliance claim. And below that, it reads here on page 9, trial of driver in deaths of Anthony Joshua's friends adjourned till February 25th. And basically, and then at the foot of the Guardian newspaper on page 29 says, presidency accuses IPOB of peddling Christian genocide propaganda. And of course, that is all the major issues making rounds on the Guardian newspaper. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with the major headlines. And next is the blueprint. Over to you, Mr. Uyi.
All right, let's begin with the headline about the nameplate. NDLEA recorded 77,792 arrests, seized 14,847 kilograms of drugs in 5 years. That's according to the chairman of the agency, Buba Marwa. All right. Ilorin bids Chief Imam Bashir farewell, Sultan mourns. A bit of business here too. Market interventions will stabilize staple food prices. That's according to the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI. And to sports, AFCON, Chill vows Super Eagles will be crowned champions 2027. Apparently, lessons have been learned from this last AFCON. Fubara, why APC is yet to declare stance on impeachment saga. Morka, Boni Reconciliation Committee commences work. DIMDEX 2026, Nigeria's indigenous Deacon D7G defense platform debuts in Doha with 2 riders accompany that headline. First one here says, country asserts defense autonomy, says General Morakinyo. It's an opportunity to expand capabilities, General Mendasara. Those are the 2 riders with that headline there. Our reputation, perception has improved under Tinubu's 2 years. That's according to the federal government. 35.2% score Miro to act positively, Idris. Ohaneze denies Igbo role in U.S. airstrikes on Sokoto terror cells. Hajj 2026, Saudi Arabian advance team arrives ahead, ministerial visit. Police recant confirm abduction of Kaduna churches members. You see, it's interesting. You know, there had been this report, Jumai, about how that there had been abduction, or if you like, attacks, part of which was abduction in some churches in Kaduna State.
Yes, true.
Well, as usual, we're not in a hurry to use the story. We wanted to be sure what the facts were and all of that. And police came out and said authoritatively, look, there was no such thing. It was all a hoax. It was fake news and what have you. But now the police has done a 180 degrees and saying that, well, of course, those churches were attacked. There was abduction and things like that. You see, a few days ago, sometime in the course of last week, we talked about how that we must deliberately go the whole hog to ensure that we build public confidence in our institutions.
Very important.
You can't have a situation like this where, yes, you can say there's no perfect entity anywhere in the world.
True.
But the question is, how much of due diligence did the police do? Or is it also a possibility that the police was trying to do some public relations around it, damage control of some kind, or trying to ensure that the public didn't get incited and things like that? But ultimately, how do we rank the police, especially Kaduna State Police Command in this case?
You know, it's very important that you have confidence in especially the police force, of course, but it's just unfortunate that this is what it is. So I'm sure they wanted to do damage control, but that was not the right way around it. Just say it how it is. We understand that there's insecurity everywhere, and of course, Kaduna is one of the most targeted places. When you talk about all of these areas in Kaduna, there's some, I'm trying to remember, there's some specific areas that you dare not plight at a particular time in Kaduna. So it's understandable if churches were attacked. We've heard of churches in the West, we've heard, and all of that in the South and all of that. So it's not new. So just say it how it is and find a way to remedy the situation and say, okay, we're up on a game. These individuals that were kidnapped, they will be found. We are trying to, we will understand that then for you to mislead the public when we already know what it is.
Well, let's look at the last headline for you on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper this morning. Northern governors want solution to adult school children crisis. Of course, that conversation is long overdue. But then read up all of those details from the Blueprint newspaper. So let's turn to the Punch newspaper now.
All right, now let us quickly turn to the Punch newspaper, giving us some very punchy headlines. And above the nameplate of the Punch, it says FG doubles January bond borrowing to 900 billion naira. And that's on page 22. On page 3, it says 5 soldiers, policemen killed in Zamfara ambush. And on page 21, it says states hosting IDPs $12 million World Bank loan. Okay. And beside the nameplate is the picture of our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And on page 2, it says Nigeria's ECOWAS exports fall 13% after Sahel states exist. And the Star story reads, alleged terror financing. Malami faces long detention as DSS intensifies investigation. And the writer reads, secret police signal tough stance, prepare court action to detain ex-AGF further as terror financing case unfolds. Now we're getting somewhere when it comes to this particular issue on ground. That is it. It's one step at a time, giving us the right information. Now on page 21, it says, domestic refiners move to cut petrol imports. And on page 22, Nigerians spend 1.54 trillion naira on beer. Others in 9 months. Oh, gosh. And below the name, and below all of that, it says, businesswoman Achimugun kicks as EFCC seeks $13 million forfeiture, and that's on page 3. And on page 4 and 5, it says DSS frees Ogun pastor associates after public outcry. And on page 14, it says EFCC quizzes Benue officials over alleged 4.6 billion naira fraud. And that's on page 14 on the Punch newspaper. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with issues making round. Next, the Daily Trust.
All right, thank you, Chumai.
Most welcome.
Diezani appears before UK courts over alleged 100,000 pound bribe. That was yesterday. All right. 6 drowned in Benue boat mishap. Again, another very devastating news there regarding.
Like we don't learn from it. There are no precautionary
6 precious
measures.
lives.
6 persons, and that's a lot. One, it's something, it's big.
Right.
And we keep going back and forth with drownings in Nigeria and all of it. It's just unfortunate that there are no precautionary measures taken. And you'll be surprised they did not have on a life jacket.
Very possible.
And that is the same issue. If you had a life jacket, at least it will reduce the numbers of deaths, okay? But it's just unfortunate. People keep taking risks, and it's just unfortunate, really.
Quite sad. Well, what more can we say? Let's see 4 more headlines for you from the Daily Trust. This morning, Atiku wades in as supporters obedient clash over IEDC tickets. Those details are on page 10. 11 killed in Edo auto crash. Again, quite sad. PDP courts dismisses Anyanwo's suits after withdrawal. Varsity students commit suicide after losing 600,000 naira to betting.
Are you kidding me?
So what was he hoping to win? 6 million, 600 million? What exactly was the goal? And again, how did he come by that money? Was it borrowed? Was it money that was given to him to keep in trust? Was it his savings? Was it? And he says university students, most likely an undergraduate.
And you see, that's the thing about betting. It's very addictive. Once you, it's just like when you go black, you never go back. That's
that sort of thing.
That sort of thing.
But it's deeper than that.
It's deeper than that. And maybe it was something that he must have done it. And that's the thing about it. It looks so glaring and beautiful, but a lot. Once you're in it, it takes God and grace to come out of that. So maybe, I'm just assuming, it's just me thinking now, maybe he did it with 100,000 naira. And then funny enough, he got 200 or 300,000 naira, and then he said, "Oh my goodness, if you could get this much, let him."
The more the merrier.
The more the merrier. Okay, you. Let me have this money, or maybe his rent or fees or something, and he cannot face these individuals who are on his neck to pay this money. And the best way out is commit suicide, which is not the best way. This stuff is very addictive, and to university students who go all out, some actually take the risk of spending their school fees, knowing the stress their parents go through to actually provide this sort of amount to pay. It's just unfortunate. Maybe he thought that was the last resort to die, but really, I think a lot needs to do when it comes to this betting and all of that. I don't want to say much about it because I know it's a whole new genre when it comes to this, so I just don't want to talk about it, but I think it's causing more harm than good to our youths. It's very important, and it's just unfortunate though, really.
Well, we hope this never happens again. Quite a heart-wrenching story here. But please do ensure you read details of all of these stories from the Daily Trust today. As we move to the Nation newspaper now.
All right, now the Nation newspaper. Now above the nameplate of the Nation, it says, IG deploys squad to rescue 177 kidnapped in Kaduna. Now, the truth is coming out now, and that's on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Now, on page 7 on the Nation, it says Nigeria produced 554.4 MB in 2025, says NUPRC. And on page 4, it says missing, let me get this right, missing non-Nigerian Operl, Benson, Liberia, says AREF. INEC declares readiness for FCT area council polls. Okay, and that's on page 27. Now, the Star story reads here, the Zani trial in 100,000 euro bribery case begins Monday, and Alaafin relocates to Ancient Palace. That's on page 6. And the Star story reads, Edun federal government will rely less on borrowing to drive growth. I think that's a step in the right direction. It will save us a lot when it comes to moving forward as a nation. And the writer says, we will depend more on our own resources than on international institutions. I agree. I think that's a step in the right direction. We have a lot to offer if we make the best and the most out of it. And at the foot of the Nation says, court likely to seal governor's governor's acquisition of Hussaini's controversial UK house. And the writer says no one has shown up to claim the house after interim forfeiture order. Death toll rises to 3 in Osun. NURTW cries. INEC OK's campaign in Ekiti. And that's on page 6. Next we have the Tribune.
All right.
Nigerian Tribune, pardon me.
Yes, well, the Tribune, penultimate paper this morning, says WEF 2026, that is World Economic Forum 2026, Edu advances Nigeria's interest in Davos, says federal government will rely less on debt, focus on driving investment. The Zionist trial in £100,000 bribery case begins in London to last 12 weeks. So clear on the timeline. All right, on page 26 is where you find those details. Governor Yusuf's defection, Kano APC chiefs were in a forced marriage travails. Tinubu says to meet Kwankwaso after a session with Yusuf. Barao Ganduje's roles remain key issues. NNPP leader may get top government appointment. Constitution review. We will begin clause by clause consideration January 27. That's the Senate there. State Police special seats for women, top lists on page 2. Report reveals low awareness of Nigeria's 2025 tax law among business owners in states, of course. And then some health here. Artificial saliva made from sugarcane, promising solution for severe cavities, report.
Really?
That's quite interesting.
Quite interesting,
and
yes.
revolutionary as well. All right. PDP presidential ticket open to all Southerners, including Jonathan Astoraki. NWC visits Namadi Sambo. Court orders INEC to publish David Mark's IEDC list for FCT, that's the Federal Capital Territory Area Council election. Those elections have been scheduled for 21st of February. Please read up details of all these headlines if you can from the Nigerian Tribune today. Let's go to our last paper, the Vanguard.
All right, the Vanguard newspaper now above the nameplate of the Vanguard. It says Davos, FG targets less borrowing, more investment, and that's from Wale Edun, and that's on page 9. And moving on now, on page 19, it says Nigerians spend $1.73 billion on foreign education, health in 6 months. And on page 12, it says impeachment, Assembly shuns Pandef peace panel in Rivers. And on page 9 on the Vanguard, it says PDP crisis, court dismisses Anyau's case against INEC, Damagun, others. And of course, the star story on the Vanguard newspaper says Kaduna, names of 177 abducted worshippers revealed. That's on page 5, and we have about 5 riders there. It says 177 abducted, 11 escape. CSWN group reveals police situation report confirms adoption. Attack occurred 1 week after 2.6 million naira ransom was paid for release of some villagers. That's from sources. And it says rights group accuses security agents of blocking access. Adoption horrific, says U.S. lawmaker. More. Another unfortunate incident, Obi. And it says here, why we insist attack happened. Hayab Northern Can chairman, and that's on page 34. They have a list of the individuals that were adopted there, so you can just check it out. And here it says here, fire raises commercial building in Ikeja Computer Village, and that's on page 7. And on page 8, FGOPS on coalition course over NSITF levy hike. And of course, my favorite part of the Vanguard is the Mr. and Mrs. column. And go out and get yourself a copy to be well abreast with issues making rounds. And with that, we have to wrap it up on the newspaper review segment. Remember, all of these headlines, Global Television has no impute whatsoever. We just read it how it is. Keep watching Global Morning on Global Television. Up next is Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Mobono. Do not go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Good morning, the Global Morning Crew, and good morning to you, our viewers. I am Ogot Kumobno, and it's another day to look at what's buzzing on social media. And this time around, it is the Minister of Interiors, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo. All right, let's look at what exactly happened. So on Tuesday, he paid an unannounced visit to the Nigerian Immigration Service Passport Office in Gwagwalada, Abuja, where he condemned delays in passport processing and warned applicants against making extra payments. Tunji-Ojo inspected operations at the VIP and children's section of the passport office and engaged both officials and applicants, questioning why people were still waiting, after the office was expected to begin service. During the visit, the minister took feedbacks from applicants and cautioned them against paying money outside official fees, insisting that Nigerians had paid for their passport completely and should not be charged for additional items. According to him, he said, I don't want to hear that you are collecting money for diesel or paper. Nigerians have paid for the passport completely. Served them diligently, he said. He expressed displeasure that only a few applicants had been attended to hours after opening time, despite the section being designated for expedited services. So it means that by 9:30 a.m., I expect to see at least 1 or 2 applicants here, because I can see some people waiting downstairs. And our responsibility is to be efficient. That's how he put it. I would like us to listen, to the minister there.
How many times do you get there? Not every day, not at all times. So if the essence here is division of labor, she is doing enrollment, you are doing capturing. So why must you wait till you enroll everybody before you do capturing? Somebody can go there, call somebody, you do the enrollment, then you do the capturing, the person goes and vice versa. You could do that. So why must you? You're wasting people's precious time. Time is money, time is expensive. It's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. The one that you said is for the masses, that is there. And people are already there. I can see the queue. They are doing enrollment, they are doing capturing. They are there. The one for the masses. But this place, because of VIP, and Nigeria has not VIP. So because it's for VIP and children now, so definitely you people will just be taking AC and be chopping line. Why Nigerians are waiting downstairs? It's unacceptable. When you wear this uniform, you wear a uniform of sacrifice. When you wear this uniform, you wear a uniform of service. You are here to work for the people. I'm not impressed with this because I can't get here and not see people, because Once there is no, how many times do you get VIP visits? Your so-called and unquote, your so-called VIP, I mean, quote and unquote. How many times do you get them? Not every day, not at all times. How many times do you have children? Not at all times. So, for me, I can't enter. No matter what you tell me, it doesn't apply to me. To put it mildly, you cannot, and I repeat, be here and there's nobody.
I must say I like surprise visit there. Well, one of the immigration officers acknowledged that yes, although the office was scheduled to open by 8 a.m., but operation began later after generator was switched on at about 9 a.m. He said we are supposed to open by 8, explaining that power was put on after applicant had arrived. Okay, that's a good excuse there. Let's take some comments from social media as regards this particular incident buzzing on social media right now. And the first one is from Andy. Andy says, Honorable Minister, please visit the London office and give us feedback. Okay, we are still in Nigeria, my dear Andy, and you've taken us to London. Okay, that means something else is happening there. It's okay. I hope the Honorable Minister of Interior gets to see this particular comment and do something about the London office. The next comment is coming from Chris Ugo, and Chris says, it's only when you mean business by firing defaulters that they would learn to do the right thing. That's what it means to hold people accountable. Speaking to them is not enough. So if they keep firing everybody, who is going to attend to you, Ugo? So I think a correction and supervision like this helps too. All right, the last but not the least comments coming from Be Unique. And Be Unique says, put CCTV and monitor the activities. Simple, because if you leave, they will continue. All right. It seems they are listening because they all stood still, which is, I think, what they are supposed to do, standing still and listening. But, you know, when I went further into some comments, I read that, you know, something like this had happened before, you know, this kind of surprise visit, and then they still went back to the status quo, what they were doing earlier, even after the caution and all of that. But, you know, that CCTV is also very important. It's part of supervision. I'm not alone today in the studio. I have with me Uyi Agbom of Wigbe. Good morning, Uyi.
Good morning, Gochiku. As always, it's a delight to be here on the program with you.
Thank you so much. All right, Uyi, have you had any experience with, even one thing I know is that even if someone doesn't have an experience, like a personal experience, they have people who have had experience. So have you had this kind of experience where you have to go to the immigration office and you wait sometimes 24 hours and nothing is being done? You have to come back the next day. Some persons will tell you have slept in the immigration office. I saw a comment like that. Right. Someone said, I slept there overnight and nothing happened. So tell me what exactly was your experience and tell me how we can help, you know, reduce this kind of issue in the immigration office.
All right, quite frankly, I've had to, the first time I did the passport was in 2008. That's been quite a while. Then we just started this e-passport thing, right? It was hitch-free. Took me just a couple of days, no drama, no incidents, right? I did a renewal sometime down the line, 2018, 2018 thereabouts. Again, this time it wasn't in Benin, it was in Abuja. I still didn't have issues. I did a renewal again in 2024 at the twilight of the year. For the third time.
You must be a lucky one.
I don't know if I'm lucky or something, but you see, some people will say, look, you're just an exemption to the rule. That's generally not the case and things like that. But what all of this has shown to us is that we need to be systematic, strategic in how we think, how we execute, how we implement, and then we have to automate better. Okay. Nobody can take away, I mean, no matter what side of the argument you stand, the fact that Honorable Tunji Olubunmi Tunji Ojo has done amazingly well with regards to the reforms he has brought into how passports are processed. I've seen people who have criticized. They say, look, once you become Minister of Interior in Nigeria, your one and only focus is immigration, is passports, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's the case. I think it is a question of where does he pinch the most? Where does he hurt the most? Passport processing appears to be a very critical pain points for Nigerians. All right, I mean, I can remember back in the day, I'd seen Nigerians who got married to people outside of Africa. They come back with their spouses, with the children they had overseas. Getting passport was a big deal, was a problem, and things like that. But I also have a concern, Ogochukwu. The concern is, did the minister have to come to the passport processing office himself? We have somebody who is the Controller General of Nigeria Immigration Service, appointed by the President, answerable to the Minister of Interior. Has this been, I mean, is she not aware of this sort of thing? This is not new. It's only making news now because the Honorable Minister himself showed up unannounced, unexpected, and things like that. Otherwise, it is common sight, it's common knowledge. I'd been at immigration, I'd heard a lady say that this is 3 months and counting, my file has not been processed. At that point, she had not even been called or invited for capturing. That's just one of hundreds of thousands of cases across passport processing points in this country. Do you know how painful it is? When you hear people say that, I live in Abuja, it's easier here. But somebody in Benin, for example, will tell you, I had to go to Ekiti. No, they say it's easier in Bayelsa. So I'll be going to Yenagoa this week to do it. No. I've seen people even left Abuja to go to Niger State because they say it's easier. So do we have to be doing a city that is easier, or do we have to be doing a city that is closer? I think those should be the questions that we should be asking. Those are the issues we should be interrogating. In fact, I also like the fact that they now have an option for your passport to be delivered to you at home.
Yes.
But you see, while on the one hand, every right-thinking Nigerian, home and abroad, will appreciate what we have achieved so far regarding passport processing, we must realize that there's far more work to be done.
Thank you so much. And I think that's where supervision really comes in.
Right.
We really need someone to supervise. You talked about, the person in charge of the NIS there, and that person is supposed to, I think your number one job is to make sure that everything goes well and report back to the minister, not the minister coming down. He can't be everywhere. There's Abuja and there are other states. We have 36 of them. He cannot be in any of these states trying to supervise. So whenever, we have people like that, please do your best to make sure that you supervise. The MD of the Global TV will always say it, that supervision is key. You supervise people. When you give them something to do, make sure that you supervise what they are doing, or else you get other reports that you do not like. All right, thank you so much once again, Uyi, for your contribution to today's topic. We really enjoyed that. And also, yes, this is where we're closing the curtains for for Social Buzz on Global Morning. And I am August Kumobono. You can join me later on as we discuss this by 12:30 today. And please keep watching Global Morning. Bye for now.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Okay, let's put this on the road real quick for you. Our first conversation this morning focusing on the proposed gold refinery being sited or to be sited in Lagos, which a section of the country now says it's inappropriate, and again highlights some sort of injustice and inequity for a country like Nigeria, blessed with vast resources, with such a large number of people. To help us have this conversation and get to the heart of what the real issues are and where we ought to be heading with an initiative like this, we're joined by Pastor Chris Delvan Gwama, who is also a public affairs commentator. We would like to thank you, Pastor Gwama, this morning for joining us on the program. All right, we understand he has we've lost touch with him. We'll hope to reconnect with him in the course of the conversation. While we're at it. But just to, again, set the record straight, we want to look at the elements in this gold refinery to be sited in Lagos, how the federal government also intends to address the concerns of the Northern Elders Forum and indeed the entire North, especially, again, the particular areas where gold is found in Nigeria's north. And many people agree that the concerns that have now been raised by the Northern Elders Forum are not only valid, but such that the federal government must now, at some point, halt whatever plans it already has in place and engage properly and better going forward. However, we must not forget that this has again kicked up the conversation around resource sharing, or if you like, resource allocation in Nigeria. First off is about crude oil, but now we've moved from crude oil to gold. But are we going to learn any lesson, or maybe have we learned any lesson so far to help us better understand how to sit with things like this in the near future? Because Nigeria is blessed so much beyond crude and gold. How do we put a better framework in place, whether legally or otherwise, to help us better address issues like this going forward? We'll take a break. When we return, we'll connect with our guest.
Do I need to do anything?
No.
We understand that our guest has now joined us virtually from Kaduna State this morning. We'd like to say a big thank you to you, Pastor Chris Delvan Gwamna, for taking our time to join us on Good Morning today.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Great. So let's get right to it. I mean, you and I, we are home and dry with the fact that Nigeria is vastly blessed with natural and human resources. But beyond oil, today we are talking about gold and the refinery that is now proposed to be sited in Lagos State. The argument by a section of Nigeria or Nigerians is that such, without even any debate, should have been somewhere in the north, maybe Zamfara, maybe Katsina, or somewhere in the northwest in particular, perhaps even Kaduna where you reside. Talk to us about what Nigerians ought to be focused on and what should have been done in this regard.
Well, when it comes to stuff like that, first of all, I want to thank you for the privilege of having me voice out my own mind and thoughts on your medium. It's a rare privilege, and nobody should trifle with it, because a lot of people's ideas will be shaped. You know, the amazing thing about media like yours is that you shape the mindset of a community, and you are able to drive the narrative, which is really good. So we pray for you all the time that God will keep you and strengthen you and give you right words and right thoughts. Citing an industry, I know when we went to school, they told us, they taught us about conditions that are necessary for citing industries and all of that. But then sometimes also the extraneous issues can, I don't know who owns this industry, I really don't, I have not researched that. But you know, the crisis in the north, in Zamfara and Kebbi, where a lot of this gold is mined, will not even allow for some structured development. That is why we in the north ourselves are very upset about the banditry that communities are conspiring to hide and to keep away, instead of us bringing it to the open and then identifying who these people are and then flushing them out of the system. Because until there is peace and there is communication and there is movement, you cannot cite an industry there. Nobody is going to go there to go and work when they can't guarantee that they will make it to work every day they wake up. But if they can guarantee that they will get to work safely and come back and sleep well and go back to work, then why not? Industries will thrive. If not, you'll have to hire bandits, as we are doing now, to protect the industry itself. And that is not development. That's not development. So one of the things that we should be focused now on is asking the North to tell us why it's impossible for us to deal with the banditry. Because the bandits live amongst us. Who are they? Where are their homes? Who are their parents? When the Niger Delta had crisis, it was the Niger Deltans that told us of Tompolo, of Asari, of Kubos, or they told us all their people who were causing the trouble. And the Navy was able to move in on them. So in the West, we see them setting up all kinds of security networks in the West, because the Westerners are saying we don't want this banditry resident in our land. So it's the same thing. We have to be able to come out and say, ask the North, why are the bandits not being flushed out? Who is hiding them? What are their names? What families do they come from? What community are they from? We cannot pretend that we don't know who they are.
All right, Chris, let's bring it home to the question, talking about the gold refinery. Now, do you think there would have been a criteria set up by the government in citing the gold refinery in Lagos?
Well, if it is a government factory, I think it's just a matter of convenience, to be honest. I think it's a matter of convenience. And I think that, you know, for a product like gold, if you refine gold and it is in bars, the market, you know, will naturally go wherever the product is. So even if we cited it in Zamfara, we cited it in Kaduna, we started it in Kebbi. It would have brought jobs, yes, I agree. Although with gold refining, it would have to be specialized jobs. So wherever you cite it, people with specialized skills would be the ones that would go there to find work and all of that. But arguably still, Lagos is a very vast market. And if you have a refinery there, the product would get vast patronage. The real issue is, if it is government cited, if it's the government business, what are the things in place to make sure that the money gets back into the system to help the country? The country has suffered a lot. A lot of solid minerals are mined all over the place. Nobody has a statistic of it. Nobody understands what the resources are used for, and it doesn't benefit the larger community. So that's the issue. The issue is this same resource will soon, the product of it will be frittered away, and the common man will not benefit. You know.
Now, talking about convenience, when you mentioned, when I asked the question, you spoke about convenience by the government. No, but why is there so much controversy among stakeholders if this is, if we think it's about convenience, and of course because the market is large and all of that, why do you think it's causing so much controversy among stakeholders? Some are in support, some are not.
It's legendary that capitalists are cutthroat and they are just against each other. It's legendary. Capitalism is just somebody who wants to control it. But it has nothing to do with the good of the country, has nothing to do with the good of the citizenry, has nothing to do with the actual development and making sure that these resources are recycled back to the community to help the community. It's only in Nigeria that people loot money from government and do not cite one industry. So they have no stake in the country. That's why they mess up the country the way they are attempting to. In other countries, people cite industries. I mean, in America, you hear Elon Musk, you hear Zuckerberg, you hear everything. Everybody has their wealth there. Their industries are there. Their workers are there. So they have a stake there to make sure that the country runs, to make sure that the institutions run. But here, people steal money. I don't know if they keep money cash. I don't even know the logic. It doesn't make sense whatsoever. So there's no industry. Nothing is being revived. Things are dying and left to die. And only those of us in the spiritual sector keep prophesying life into dead things, because that's our nature anyway, but we need to have a system where people are invested in it. A time is come when those who are not stakeholders in the country will no more have access to power. They will no more have access to ruling and determining who rules, who does what, and who wins what. Because the nation, there's only a point where we can get to. It's a tipping point, and I know we have got there already.
All right, let's talk about, this appears now to be stretching beyond just gold. Resource control has been quite a big and controversial issue in Nigeria for a long time, especially when you look at it from the standpoint of the petroleum industry. And we're hoping for a long time that the Petroleum Industry Governing Bill, as it then was, which ultimately became the Petroleum Industry Act, will lay all of those issues to rest. Well, industry stakeholders say that in the issue of oil and gas, we're doing far better in that regard. But do we have the same structures when it comes to minerals like gold and lithium, for example?
We don't have it at all. If you come to the north, you just happen on communities and you just see a massive deep gash in the earth where this stuff is being mined, and it's an ecological disaster. It's wrecking the system. We need to have an organized setup where people, where you can get licenses properly and you can mine the earth properly, not just to open up the belly of the earth and just pack. The resources that have been taken out of this country, they are humongous, indescribable, and other nationalities are even stepping in, and even we hear that they are hiring their own bandits to protect them. So our nation is being raped in that area. It's being raped in the non-oil sector, where the looting has just been crazy. And that's exactly what I'm always still saying, is that those who loot think that their assets are only in cash, and they do not think that they owe it back to the community. If you are mining lithium, State, why don't you set up an industry just beside there where you can process it and then pack it into some form and then take it to some other city? Maybe if you cited an industry in Kaduna to process ginger, for instance, and then you cited another industry in Lagos to now package, we will understand that, okay, maybe the market in Lagos is bigger than the market in Kaduna, so you are just processing it here, but you are taking it there for finalization. But in a case where there is no graduated process of doing these things, it's reprehensible, it's unthinkable. And so the policies are useless if they do not have these intermediary steps that create an understanding in the community. Like even oil, if you refine it in the community where the oil is found, and you move it maybe to another refinery like what Dangote has in Lagos, and then you now finish the products there, the communities won't be upset once you are putting back in the community. But when you are not putting back in the community, then the community gets upset no matter what you do.
Now, let's look at political interests now. Now, how might political interests influence mineral resources in Nigerian economy, and how can it be checkmate, in your own opinion?
Well, see, political interest groups in Nigeria, or political interests in Nigeria, sadly, have been ruled by selfishness. Crass, absolute selfishness. Now, capitalism itself is selfish. Even communism, socialism is also selfish because it's the ruling class that determines what everybody gets. I mean, in Russia is not a quiet community, or China. No, there's a lot of repression and oppression to make sure that this is quiet. So what I'm saying is a political ruling class must redefine its purpose for rulership. Rulership is not designed for you to just make your own benefits and run away with it and then think you can then shoot down anybody who is asking why. No, leadership itself has one common purpose, which is the preservation of life. The first thing that God gave the earth is life. And so every other thing God did was to furnish that life with what life needed so that life could thrive. So the same thing, if you become the president of Nigeria, there would be no president of Nigeria if the Nigerian life is dead. If Nigeria is dead, if the people are dead, there will be no Nigeria to rule. So your sacrosanct duty is to give Nigeria life and to maintain that life and to create an environment that will make that life thrive. That is the reason why people compare Nigeria with other countries and they say, oh, I wish I was living in another country. No, you don't wish to live anywhere. The grass is always greener on the other side. But where you are is good enough. So build it, develop it, nourish it, nurture it, pour back water into the ground so that the grass will grow. That's really where the real challenge with the Nigerian ethos is. Industries are dead in Kano, industries are dead in Lagos, industries are dead in Jos, industries are dead in Kaduna, industries are dead in Port Harcourt. And then people are fighting over the ballot box. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, let's talk about some other factors here. Excuse me. The federal government is now saying that, look, this is not what people think it is, that this refinery, it's a private initiative. So it's not a public agency, as it were. That's one argument the federal government is putting forward. Of course, again, that's being done on its behalf by the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development. On the other hand, there are those who say that if such a refinery is sited in Lagos, insecurity in the north is a valid basis for such a choice or a decision. How do we marry these two?
Well, precisely the thing that I already said. I told you that it would naturally, if I was an industrialist and I was going to invest in gold, I will look for where I can safely manufacture process the gold, package it, and then take it to the market. And I will not go and cite an industry for refining gold in Zamfara State. But the people are, even the bandits are sometimes more sophisticatedly armed than the army. I won't. Because whatever if you make 20 gold bars today and you put them in your storage, no matter how fortified your storage is, someone can come with a tank there and draw out. Even if you build a barn made of iron underground, they will just root it out and then drag it away. Because the bandits have weapons. We have helicopters. We have all kinds of stories. It's almost like it's not in our country. So let's not underestimate whatever this insecurity is. But at the same time, if it is a private initiative, then it's a private initiative. So whoever is citing that industry will determine how he's going to transport the gold, the raw material there, to go and refine it and all of that. Now, sometimes the overheads for production, they are increased because of the things that we have to circumnavigate, the obstacles we have to get around just to get some work done. And that precisely is what I'm saying. If the conditions necessary for a factory like that to be sited in the location to the mines is not even. First of all, Nigeria has not even admitted that we have gold and we want to constructively mine the product. I mean, like petrol, we have a policy. We have acknowledged we have petroleum and we have created a policy, a ministry, and all of that. If we have gold, why don't we first sit down and say, look, gold has been found in this place, gold has been found in that place, and XYZ has been given a license or not given a license. We've not even admitted that. You can't sit down and be talking about something that doesn't exist. In government circles, it doesn't exist. The mining doesn't exist. The banditry doesn't exist. When people are kidnapped, the sources, military sources or police sources come out and deny it and say nobody was kidnapped. But these are the very reasons why they were kidnapped. It's because of the materials or minerals that are being harvested in those areas. That's the reason.
Like what we saw in Kaduna. Now, how can transparency and stakeholder consultation, for instance, now help reduce conflicts in mineral resource management?
Now, there's going to be a complete change of ideology. There's going to come a leadership, a new season of leadership when new people with a clear mindset for national survival will take the helm of affairs and they will begin to drive the narrative in a proper positive direction. Unfortunately, the outgoing generation is doing everything possible to infect and influence the generation behind them with greed, covetousness, playfulness, and all of that. So, but God is raising a new coalition, and I see it. I've heard people say it, that there's going to be, there's an undertone, an undergrowth that is growing under here in Nigeria. If you look at the surface, you think it's peace and safety. It's a lie. The structures are coming down because there's an army that is underground, that is being raised, that is rising. They are enterprising. They are focused. They are driven, and they understand the issues that are at stake. And then there is also another arm in the diaspora. All you need to do is just lift up your eyes and you will see them. There's a light dawning from the diaspora, and there's going to be a marriage, and I believe it, that which is outside of this country that has proven itself is going to find a way of connecting back to that which is in this country that has also proven itself. And there will be an upswell of a new and a break forth of a new that is going to break into the surface and then succor that we need. I believe so very strongly.
Not too long ago, Dele Alake, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, told federal legislators that powerful Nigerians, those were his exact words, powerful Nigerians are behind illegal mining in the north. Of course, the common sense question probably a typical Nigerian would ask is, who are these powerful Nigerians? What exactly is are the authorities, whether you call them law enforcement, DSS or police, doing with that piece of information? When you say powerful Nigerians are behind illegal mining in any part of a country such as Nigeria, and then we don't see governments moving in that direction, taking advantage, or if you like, deploying such piece of intel, does that show weakness on the part of government, or is it just indicative of unwillingness to act?
Now, when I know your intentions are very good, and your questions, the intention for your question is noble. But my question is, who is government? Who is government? If we are talking about the people in power, who is more powerful than government? So it is not those interests that come together to form the government, and they hijack government, and they take over government. We are kidnappers, all of us, just hijacking everything and then moving on. So it's who is able to hijack the next election that constitutes, to a large extent, what we call government. What I'm saying is the powerful people are not outside of government, and government is the most powerful institution. So I'm talking about us reconciling and bringing a new form of government into power, a new form of people, a new people. You can't change a land when you don't change the people, and you can't change the people till they have a new heart. You can't, a culture where people get out with 100 billion and nobody questions them. You can sleep in Nigeria, a pop, and then the morning you wake up and you have 3 billion in your account and nobody will ask you. The bank manager will bring your money home. It's a culture. So until we change the psyche of the nation, we're not going to achieve anything. We're not. I agree that they are powerful people, and the powerful people are living in plain sight. We are the powerful people. We ourselves, we Nigerians, we like it so. I like a Bible prophecy that was given, although this is not a scripture program, but I like a Bible prophecy which says that the prophets are lying, the priests are oppressive, but the people so. So, for instance, today we are starting the Congress in Abuja, the International Conference Center, called Call to All. For us as Christians, we are trying to reach the next generation to say to them, hey, that's not how to live. This is another way to live, living in the presence of God. Making sure that when you leave this place, you are going to stand before a maker. But then even if religiously speaking, when all we spew out is pleasure now, here, like life ends here and begins and ends here, and that's what we get us to get their share here,
Oh, okay, let's begin to wrap it up now. On a final note, let's look at the calls. Of course, those calls have become very vehement in the last couple of years for Nigeria to be restructured. We saw presidential candidates who before now had said that upon assumption of office, assuming they won, for example, one of the first things they will pursue will be an agenda to restructure Nigeria. Of course, there have also been concerns around what, in practical terms, the definition of restructuring is for a country like ours. But now that we're discussing minerals or resources that are mineral-based, is it high time, perhaps, was to start talking about restructuring the country in such a way that we can now start practicing what some political analysts now call true federalism?
Excuse me, sir. Anything that is driven by selfishness itself is moribund and it's decadent, and it is not going to produce anything constructive. Nigeria is a great nation. First of all, Africans and the whole world must accept that none of us as a geopolity will put ourselves together. First, put ourselves together. History, God put us together. We wake up sometimes and we abuse white people and we just become racist in the name of anti-colonialism. Excuse me, we've been independent for over 60 years. If there's any progress we could have made, shouldn't we have made it by now? We've been getting degrees and professors all over in every endeavor. So all this talk about restructuring is selfishly driven. It's like saying, I got up and I'm a Yoruba discover that our tribe is big enough to want to break away. So let us break out of Nigeria and get out of this place and set up our system. I'm an Igbo. We are large enough to break. So what about the little groups that have sat in this nation and they themselves have been sapped into the development of this nation? So how should they think? Is it a curse that God made some little tribes like Chibok to be just 300,000 people, and so they can be raided and then taken and then the majority tribes will now sit down and act like ostriches and say, oh, it doesn't matter. No, no. In Hitler's Germany, we realized that when they were attacking the little groups, they attacked Jews, they attacked Christians, they attacked this, and nobody spoke. After some time, when they came for the German people themselves, nobody was aiding them. And if you get into the concentration camps at Auschwitz, you would see the memorabilia there, where, you know, this famous guy said, you know, when they attacked the Jews, we said it serves the Jews right. When they attacked these ones, we said it served them right. Then they came for us, and we were wondering why nobody was answering our cries or responding to our cries. And then we realized that the people who should have supported us were the ones we killed on the days that we chose to be silent. So the restructuring thing, the mantra of restructuring itself, it lacks credibility, because the purpose for it is selfish, and it also sets aside the understanding that there is a heavy destiny on Nigeria. Nobody can deny that Nigerians have their own culture and ethos that was a product of their living together. The pressure that brought us together is what produced this new creation called Nigeria. Everywhere you go, we share the same identity, we laugh the same way, we rejoice. Nigerians have a shock absorber, they can absorb shock.
That's
and
true.
then move on. And we export that culture to other nations. Even in America, we live like we own America. In England, we live like we own England. Nigerians speak every language with the genuflections and the dialectical expressions of that language better than the citizens of that country. You know? It's a Nigerian culture. So let us not denigrate Nigeria and her role. Nigeria is going to play a leading role in leading the nations of the earth, because her culture is unique. Her culture is peculiar. God put us here together.
Now let's bring it back home now to the topic that we are focusing on. That's the sighting of the gold refinery in Lagos. Now let's look at how can poor location decisions, for instance, affect the management and development of Nigeria's mineral sector?
What I advise the government to do is let us go head on, smash banditry in the north, crush it with all of the force that it deserves, and send a statement to every region that when you go against Nigeria, you are going against the federal might. That's number one. Number two, let us revalue the value of a Nigerian life. Let's add it in our constitution. How much does our life cost? In Israel, they don't leave dead bodies behind. In Russia, they don't leave dead bodies. Everywhere. It's becoming a culture. People, look at Israel and Gaza. The Jews are negotiating for corpses to be returned. When are we going to put that in our ethos so that a Nigerian will know how valuable they are? Until that kind of thing happens and you redefine the value of life, you cannot, all other discussions are just a waste of time. Whether we cite the industry in the north or the south, how big is Nigeria? Ideally speaking, you can cite an industry for a refinery in Niger, in Katsina. If Nigeria is safe, you can move oil from Port Harcourt to Katsina and refine it there and then spread it around the north. It is going to enhance. Even the consumption level of Nigeria alone is large enough to keep any market going. But when we are stealing from the country, it will not matter where we site the industry. The gold is being stolen. The people where it is taken from are not benefiting from it. Some of the poorest of the earth live in the far north, where this gold is found. There are no police stations, no schools, no roads. There is nothing that comes to them. The dividends of life don't accrue to them. They eat basic. They eat tuwo and miyan kuka. Miyan kuka is just, the trees are just, they are not even a forest. What we call forests in the north are not really forests. They're just trees that grew into rocks and, created massive roots. And then people can hide there and cause trouble. So what I'm saying is, where you cite an industry is not the issue. The issue is, when are we going to take a decisive step to make sure that life in Nigeria is sacrosanct and sacred?
Now, let's take a cue. Now, what lessons can Nigerians learn from other gold-producing countries when it comes to decision-making on mineral resources, gold, lithium, all of that encompass? What lessons should we take home so we do not make a mistake, or at the same time we can benefit from it?
Well, you know, some of the countries where you even find gold on the streets. I mean, I was in Singapore, and there's a whole area, all streets of just gold. And the marketers are Indians, and the gold is not found in Singapore. It's brought from elsewhere, and that's the gold industry of the world. So if we have leaders, if our leaders can just sit down and decide that Nigeria is worth living for and dying for, and like I said, if you don't have a stake in it, you're not going to do anything about it. So our people don't have a stake in the industry. They don't have a stake in the minerals that are mined. They don't have a stake in the resources that are mined. That's why they don't care. So they live in this illusion that money is a resource, and so they think that because they have money and they have cash, that means they are in control, and that means there's peace and safety. There is no peace and there is no safety until controls are put in place. Don't be deceived. You build houses in Abuja any minute from, I mean, we've seen people with estates, and the next regime came and seized all of those things and collected them, and then the people are back to square zero. So the truth is, your safety is your investment in the land. It will now make you want to protect it, and it will make you want to take care of the people that you use in the industry. As long as we are producing leaders who have no stake in the ground and who are not producing, and I mean they don't own anything on the ground. They feel anytime you attack, I can take off and get out. That's all. In South Africa, gold is mined. The Oppenheimers are some of the richest people in the world because they were protected, and the industry was protected. The mining process was protected. You can say it was apartheid, yes, and blacks were used like slaves, yes. But now that South Africa is free, the government has moved in, and Africans are in charge of the government. And the gold industry is still producing in South Africa, but in an organized and an industrialized set way, so that the community again benefits. And now it is we Nigerians that steal money from here, fly to South Africa to buy houses overlooking the sea and overlooking the mountains, and then to enjoy the infrastructure that's on the ground, when we ourselves can develop our own infrastructure here. You know, we can develop it. So it permeates every aspect of our lives. I mean, I remember Donald Duke was governor of Cross River State a few years ago, and Obudu was like the go-to place, and the flights were flying in there and everything. Now, what happened to it? What happened to Tinapa? Why are subsequent governments not bothered about that? What is it? What is it inherent in us that makes us not care? It's because we're not invested in. Nigerians, our leaders place premium in cash. They don't place premium in industrialization.
You know, today on the Nation newspaper, it says here, Edun, federal government will rely less on borrowing to drive growth. And the writer says we will depend more on our own resources than on the international institutions. How possible do you think that is? And do you think that it will stand the test of time or even see the light of day?
Well, I believe that in the Nigerian dream, I believe in the project, and I know it's not a man project, it's a God-given project, and I thank God that I'm a Nigerian. Nigeria is perhaps the only country in the world where everybody believes in God. There are no atheists in Nigeria.
True.
If you meet any Nigerian, you say, God will do this, everybody will shout amen, and what they're shouting amen to.
That's true.
Yeah, and then if you get in a bus in the night, as I used to, you get in the bus in the night, and we're going to have a night journey, and we know the journey is bandit prone and robber prone. Once you say, let us pray that we'll arrive safely, everybody bends their heads and they shout amen. So Nigeria is a godly country. We don't have atheists.
Yes, we are.
We don't support atheism as a way of thinking. And I'm sure that this dream I'm talking about, which is God-given, God-driven, God-inspired, God-breathed, is going to see the light of day. And that Nigeria is going to break out of her chains. A new generation of her people are rising. You know, even when people talk about the youth and say, oh, the youth are eaten up by drug addiction, by all of that and all of that, it's not true. It's not all the youth. You see, darkness makes more noise than light. So if you're not careful, you'll be driven and swayed by this narrative that everything in Nigeria is a waste. No, it's not. It's in the same Nigeria people invented, people began to make their own computers. We know, I've forgotten the names of some of the individuals that really broke through. And then after a while, the state government started going to them to patronize them. After a while, people recognized, oh, this product is good. So, in the same Nigeria, what is antithetical to this corruption prone, to this fracture-prone nature is arising, and it's going to checkmate it. And I always use the example of the churches. Look at the churches that we have in Nigeria. We criticize them so often on social media, and the hue and the hoopla about it is always greater. But the truth is, what other institution in Nigeria is as successful as the church? I mean, pastors come out of school without a dime. They marry girls that have not a dime. They hear the call of God and they leave the lucre that they were pursuing and come and set up these little enclaves of light. And everybody agrees in Nigeria. When you see a church, the kind of structures you see, the structured gardens, structured highways, services that are structured, ushering that is structured, organization, worship, prayer. Look, it's unprecedented. You don't find it in government. You don't find it in the private sector. The most developed structures are in church. You see schools that students don't pay to attend because the pastor and his wife are bankrolling it. You see hospitals and clinics where people can go to get treated. You see communities are visited regularly and taken care of. And you know, every day churches put a signboard for a service, congregants gather. Even though we criticize them, if Nigeria gets to run like any of the churches on the ground, I'm telling you the truth, there will be joy in the hearts of the people. I really thank God. I've seen a lot, and I know, especially when you see someone who just comes out of school and you know where they come from, you know their family background. There's nobody there to bankroll any such enterprise, and then come in there and the little offerings that people bring, and we ridicule that so much. But these guys are able to channel it properly and make something a developmental icon in a community, and you're amazed. How did they do it? Nigerians are ingenious. This nation has a superb destiny in God and has a future. I believe the nations of the world are waiting. One of our guest speakers today in Abuja here at the International Conference Center is a man called Paul Childers. He's German and his wife is New Zealand. And he came in a few months ago and announced to Nigeria that the world is waiting for Nigeria. The world is waiting for Nigeria to come and lead. I mean, from an American, you hear that kind of statement, you know, you need to hear them some more. So we asked him to come back. And tonight the conference is titled the International Conference Center. We just need to hear the words, those kinds of words, and I hope that the journalistic ethos in our country will change to reflect that. That we'll begin to have journalists who are able to criticize the system, but also proffer words of wisdom that will be cast in marble, that will become guideposts for any generation that wants to walk from darkness to light.
All right.
Right. Well, so much sense has been made out of this conversation this morning. No doubt about that. And as a matter of fact, we're also hoping that, we've seen in the oil industry where IOCs, that's international oil companies, have been accused in some cases of being responsible for degradation, pollution in the waters in the Niger Delta. We hope with Saudi Arabia coming into mineral resources sector, solid mineral sector now, we will also have cause to again look back and have regrets in terms of such partnership. But at this point, we'd like to say a big thank you to Pastor Chris Delvan Gwamna for joining us on Global Morning today.
Thank you so much for being a part and sharing your wheels of knowledge when it comes to this issue of solid mineral management. Of course, proposed gold refining location that is stirring controversy everywhere. Thank you so much for being a part of Global Morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now, thank you. All right, now let's quickly go on a very quick break. Global Morning continues shortly with our second discuss of the day. Stay tuned.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
All right, thank you everyone for staying with us. Let's take it beyond Nigeria for a second now. Wale Tinubu, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Ando PLC, is now saying that in 20 years' time, of course, subject to several factors, half or maybe even more than half of the vehicles on Nigerian roads will be electric. And his point is very precise. He says, first of all, China has shown that example. The second, he says, Nigeria is blessed with abundance in gas. And he says, what that also means is that first, it's cheaper, all factors considered, to produce electric vehicles. Second, because Nigeria has gas in abundance, we can ultimately, beyond just producing EVs, that is electric vehicles, be able to generate far cheaper electricity. And for a country like ours, that will appear to be, well, getting 2 or maybe even 3 for the price of 1. But do we have the framework, do we have the thinking, do we have the roadmap in place to make that happen? And again, now that we're talking about going green, I mean, we were here the other day talking with Ibrahim Sheleng on Monday about issues regarding climate financing, impact of climate change on agriculture, education, and things like that. We need to go green like the other, the rest of the world. But the challenge is, back at home, we're still dealing with what you might want to call teething problems.
Yes, I completely agree. When it comes to growing green, you know, it's like I said, it's a process. It was a process. Individuals outside the country, they made it intentional to go green. They don't, like Nigeria now, we can get a house, we just cut down our trees. We do not understand the implication of cutting down trees. We do not understand the implication of burning things in front of the house. We do not understand that climate change has come and is here to stay. And all of these things are triggers that can lead to that. I don't think we've gotten to that level, although, like Ibrahim Sheleng mentioned, the world is evolving. So we have to evolve with the world, because change, they say, is the only constant thing in life. But at the same time, have we gotten to that point in Nigeria where this can actually work? There's a big question mark. I'm not too sure about that. And I don't think we are ready when it comes to awareness and mindset when it comes to going green in Nigeria. Yes, we know, they say go green or go home. But at the same time, other international countries understand why going green is beneficial to their nation. It will go a long way. But we are still teething, like you said, when it comes to electricity. Eventually we go green when it comes to transportation. I'm just giving. We do not even have the power to actually, you know, to maybe charge our batteries, or a little solar is going to do that work. But at the same time, we need a backup when it comes to electricity. And our grid, like I mentioned to Ibrahim Sheleng, our grid is collapsing on the daily. So I do not know if we're ready, like you said.
But that's a beautiful thing, Jim. When we do go green, and we believe, I'm choosing my words carefully, I'm not saying if, I believe we will go green. It's going to require a lot of work.
Yes.
So we have to direct so much
process.
Energy towards that. However, when we do go green, we are not going to be having conversations around grid and collapses and things like that.
No.
But like you also rightly mentioned, first of all, government must be clear as to its direction in this regard. Second,
Very importantly,
you must put the structures in place. You must have the framework in place. You must have all of those systems. Then you must also be able to bring in some, if you like, PPP sort of thing, public-private partnership. You must bring the private sector big time into this. It's going to require a lot of technical expertise.
Yes.
It will inherently require a lot of funding. That money has to come from somewhere, whether local investors or foreign investors. And then the timeline must be specific. What are you looking at? For example, Mr. Wale Tinubu is talking about 20 years. That's for a country like Nigeria long term. Then what will you do in the short term, in the medium term to get there? We must be clear. How do we also ensure we are proactive enough to deal with possibilities of policy somersaults? One government comes after the first government, and the next thing you know is that government says, no, we have a different priority.
Yes.
We want to pursue agriculture, we want to pursue health, we want to pursue
exactly
and things like that. So that's why you see back at home, one of the challenges we have is we're not able to shoot for the for the long term, because the fear or the concern that the next government will not likely to that path is very palpable. For example, some years ago, Britain said, look, by 2040, more than 80% of the cars on our roads will be EVs. All right. So nobody's afraid that one government will come and change it, or one party or the other will change it. Because, first of all, what drives these policies, these initiatives, these programs, fundamentally is the interest of citizens. In our own case, most times the idea is to score political points. The idea is to maybe impress a small group or an entity and things like that.
Just to show relevance.
Right. Maybe outdo the previous government, show that this administration is way ahead the previous, even though some of those projects may end up as white elephant projects.
Exactly, swept under the carpet. No, and I think that's our major problem, where we do not continue a particular vision that is beneficial to us as a nation and as individuals in our society. And that is why there are so much loopholes, lapses. The gap is really wide. You'll be shocked to see there's some visions of predecessors that would have gone a long way if it started the way it did and is still in continuing to now. It would have made a whole difference. But like we said, everyone has their own, quote and unquote, their own ideas, their own visions, and of course, their way of thinking. So that is why sometimes most projects that are very intellectual, that can go a long way, do not stand the test of time. And it's just unfortunate. Like I said, going green in Nigeria, like we said, it's going to happen, but it's a long term, because test run is very important. We're not done. That's why I mentioned to Ibrahim Sheleng when he came. And I said, we're still battling with CNG. Conversion is a problem.
Right.
And this is almost how many years now? Looking at it critically, it's not, I would not say, Jumai Manson is not saying it's not working, but there is so much challenge around that. And we're talking about EV now, electrical vehicles now. How? Like, we're still battling with one aspect. We do not know. Our cameraman the other day was saying that to get the CNG fuel is a problem. Sometimes you have to queue for long hours. Even the conversion is so expensive. How many individuals can actually afford that when it comes to converting your normal fuel tank to the CNG? It's a process, and we are still struggling with that. I think we should focus on one and make it right, and then tilt to another, step by step, creating that awareness one step at a time. Because hey, we're not, I don't want to see, I never want to be, I always want to be positive, not negative. But when it comes to issues of national development, I think we tend to drag our feet. I do not know why. Maybe there's so much interest, or individuals are just, like what Reverend Chair said, greed sometimes plays a part. But at the same time, let us know that everyone will give account. I always say it. Accountability is very important. And how you give account, we all stand in front of our maker. Just do the needful. Just let there be a balance. Let it be beneficial to you and I. Once you sit on the table and you make decisions that will be beneficial to Nigerians and, of course, Nigeria. Right. It's very important. It goes a long way. I always say it.
Well, let's talk about politics for a second now. A man who had, at some point, been, senior special advisor to President Bola Tinubu in the office of the Vice President, Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed, just yesterday, they said, look, if former Vice President Atiku Abubakar should clench the ticket of the African Democratic Congress, that is the ADC, there's a likelihood of a collapse of the party. And incidentally, he says, as it stands right now, Atiku stands a very good chance of clenching that ticket. However, he notes that if it was to go in that direction, the powerful people, the influential people in the ADC are likely going to leave. And once that happens, the party will collapse. You know, Juma, you and I were here the other time, and we said there are people who believe former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is already carrying on like the, if you like, de facto presidential candidates of the ADC. Yes. But now, one of Nigeria's finest, if you like, political thinkers is saying that if the former VP were to grab that ticket, the ADC will likely collapse. What that means, from what he says, is that guys like El-Rufai, of course, David Mark, who is the chairman of the party now, people like former governor of Osun State, Ralph Aregbesola, again, immediate past minister of Interior, of course, Peter Obi, quite a number of them. Chibuike Amechi, former governor of Rivers State, will leave the party. And if you remove these names I've just mentioned from the party,
but the truth is, I'm
what
sure.
Will be left?
But the truth is, we've always said that politics is a very dirty game, and people will come out and say stuff, and behind closed doors they say something else. I think there's an understanding with the ADC now. I think there's going to be like mutual respect. Whoever emerges as the presidential candidate, so be it. Once everyone comes out, and when that debate is on, it's made the best man win. Like our guest came up yesterday, and I said, with all these challenges surrounding the ADC, with everyone wanting to be the presidential candidate, and he says, hey, there is going to be a debate, and may the best man win. For everyone to be in that party, I'm sure they want to make a big difference in Nigeria, being the strong opposition party when it comes to the APC. So I do not think all of that. But let's just see what, I might be wrong, but let's just see what it holds. But really, I'm sure the ADC, they want to give a lot of parties a run for their money, especially the APC. And they do not want the same thing that happened with the PDP to happen to them, because they have come out as very strong contenders now. So I do not think they want all of that unnecessary drama. But politics, it's unpredictable. We do not know. But at the same time, let's just sit back and watch and see how well this plays out. We might be surprised. It could be a political propaganda. It could be, I'm just saying, how these politicians are.
But
can they be trusted? I don't know.
Just for clarity, his point, I mean, the point he's making is that because of these prominent figures in the ADC, whose ambition individually is to become the presidential candidate of the party, there's likely going to be a clash. That's his point. His point is that you don't have, there's not much of a problem having prominent political figures in the same party.
True.
However, because all of them, every one of them has got presidential ambition, that will clash. And he says the problem will be that this likely clash or collapse of the party will happen if the ADC goes to a convention. And ideally, a convention is supposed to be a level playing field for everybody to come contest. Like you say, make the best man win.
Make the best man win.
But, ironically, his fear is that if the ADC chooses the option of a convention, Atiku will likely win. And if Atiku wins, that again has the likelihood of marking the end of the party. But beyond the ADC, it also now again begs the question of how effective or otherwise is opposition in Nigeria? Because as it stands right now, nobody is really talking about the PDP as the lead or leading
no one is.
opposition political party. Everybody is now looking at the ADC.
We might be surprised. Like I said, there's always...
Well, until that happens, we have to look at what is more scientific.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, I do not think that the ADC want to come out with all of those drama and all of that. I'm just saying...
You think they've learned their lessons?
I think, of course. Are you kidding me, Uyi? They have learned their lessons. They want to make a difference. And you cannot come out and say, okay, fine, I want to be the ruling party of Nigeria, and you cannot settle the disputes in your own home. It doesn't make sense. So they want to promote them. So I'm not a card-carrying member of ADC. Let me just point that clear. It's what I've been seeing. And of course, they say experience is the best teacher. They've seen other political parties and they've learned, I'm sure they have learned, and they do not want the same replica to happen to the ADC because they are coming out as very strong contenders against the APC now. So I'm sure, I don't think that's me saying, I do not think it's going to result to that. I think they will settle this amicably and may the best man win and may the right decision be done. Not with what we heard yesterday. Right. It's not all about them now. These are individuals who have learned from their mistakes. And with the ADC, it's a time to make amends. From what I heard from our guest yesterday, is to make amends. So right now, I think it's all about Nigerians and Nigeria and not their selfish interest.
He says the party's balance is also further strained by the expectations of Peter Obi. There are those who believe that Peter Obi expects that he would be, unanimously made the party's flag bearer. We're saying a gentleman like Professor Patutomi, Nigeria's foremost political economist, say that it is presidential ticket for Obi or nothing. In fact, it goes ahead to be very clear, saying that if Obi does not get the presidential ticket of the ADC and now decides to be a running mate to former Vice President Atiku or anyone else of that matter, he would withdraw his support for Obi. Some people say, well, that may be a threat, but the point he's making is that Obi deserves nothing less than being the flag bearer of the party. But is it possible with all of these big wigs, Atiku, if you like, Chibuike Amechi, and a few other persons, and then Obi can just come and collect the ticket just like that? Somebody said Atiku personally purchased the ADC. Refurbished it. That the ADC was like a pregnancy that was just 3 months old. 12 weeks. Atiku came in, nurtured that pregnancy to term.
Yeah, he did.
Then ensure that baby was properly delivered, midwifed, all right, taken care of. He has been nurturing that baby all the way till this point. Even though we may say the baby is still at infancy, but the baby is full of life now. Baby is healthy, well nourished.
Exactly.
Do you think the baby is just, the mother, so to say, of the baby is just going to hand him over to Peter Obi and say, well, welcome to the club? I
don't think so. But let's just see how well this plays out. I'm sure there's going to be a mutual understanding, and I think they're going to work it out. These are politicians. They know what they're doing. And like I said...
So you say in the course of the next couple of meetings, they'll iron out the differences?
Yes, they will. For me, I think they will, because like one of the card-carrying members of ADC, he came up to say that it's a time of reflection, it's a time to go back and do the right thing. And I think I believe that. All right, I think our time is up on the program this morning. We have to wrap it up. We are wrapping it up on the program. Join us same time tomorrow as we bring you more trending issues when it comes to news and current affairs and more discuss of the day. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. Remember, all the views of our guests is particularly theirs. Global Television has no impute whatsoever. I am Jumai Manson, and my amazing co-host.
My name is Uyi Agumofwegwe. As always, we're grateful for your time with us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.